Okay, we're going to get started with our August Club Q. The first kit we are doing is DP1451 is the item number, and it's called Swimsuits, Flip-Flops, and Sunshine. So if you get out your instruction sheet, you can have it sitting next to you, but I'll walk you through step by step so you don't have to read through the directions. It suggests desert sun, fall leaves, and deep sea. I also chose some different colors, so if you have colors in your stash of Powder Puff chalking inks that you want to use, you go ahead and get those out. We are going to start by all the cutting, doing all the cutting to begin with. Sometimes we only have one or two little diagrams, sometimes we have 3 or 4. This one has a little more, but it's super simple cuts, so we'll get that out of the way first. Go ahead and punch out your die cuts if you would like to. And the great thing about a video is that you can just stop and pause and get caught up as you need to. A lot of my lasers I actually kept in until we need them. Totally up to you if you want to punch them out and lay them in a pile. This one has kind of little pieces, so those are the ones that I usually keep in until I need them because they're so easy to lose. So totally up to you. But we are going to get started. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I am going to move in my trimmer so that we can do all the cutting first. So the first thing we are going to cut is, there is 2 diagrams and then 1 on the back, so 3 total. I am going to actually start with this light blue paper, and I just slide my diagram right next to where I'm working so that I can see what I'm wanting to cut. So go ahead and grab your light blue paper. Has some floral on the back, and we are going to cut out the 2 3.5 by 5. So put your paper in, we'll cut at 5 all the way across, and then I'm going to turn it and cut it at 3.5 and then 3.5 again. So you have 2, and this is actually just extra, so if you want to save that for another page or something else, you can. Typically we tell you don't throw anything away until the very end, because a lot of times we use the scraps, the things that look like scraps, we use them in the kit. This one, that one that I just had was actually a scrap, so you can do whatever you want with it. So we have 2 3.5 by 5s. Let me set that aside. And then in this other piece, we have it so that you cut along the bottom here, but it doesn't matter. Whatever part of this paper you want to cut on, you can, because the leftover is just extra. So we need 4 2.5 by 3.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in and I'm going to cut it at 3.5. And this is just leftover, so if you want to save that for something else. And then turn it sideways, cut at 2.5, move it down, 2.5, 2.5. So you want 4, 2.5, and this is just leftover. That could make a cute little tag for something. Okay, so we have 4 of those. Then I'm going to flip this over and we will do the dotted diagram here. So go ahead and grab one of your dotted pieces of paper. Dot it on one side and then the scratch stripe on the other. And we are going to make this cut first all the way across. So we're going to cut at 4.5 all the way across. So 4.5, and then we will cut the 3 by 4.5 off the end. So turn it, put it in at 3, and trim. You want to move it down and cut it at 6.5 and trim. And this is also just a leftover piece. And then we will make 2 more of these. So let's slide our big piece back in and we'll cut it again at 4.5. This is left over, so that's just extra. Use it for whatever you want. And we're going to turn it again. Cut it 3.5, or no, I'm sorry, don't cut it at 3.5. Cut it at 3. And then move it down and cut it at 6.5. Leftover piece. Okay, so you end up with 2 3 by 4.5 and 2 4.5 by 6.5. I'm going to set those aside and do the last little diagram here. And that is the other stripe paper. And I'm actually, it's easiest to make this cut first, so I'm going to cut at 4 inches going across here. So you want to lay your paper in your trimmer. We're going to actually cut this off at the top. You want to lay it in your trimmer so that the stripes are horizontal. If you get it going the other way, no worries, it still works. It doesn't matter really which way the stripes go. So we are going to trim off 4 inches, and then we'll cut all of these at 3 inches. So just turn it, cut it at 3, move it down, cut it at 3, oops, and cut at 3 again, and then that will give you 4 3 by 4 pieces. With the big piece that's left, we are actually going to cut at 7. Slide that in, cut it at 7. And this is left over. And then we'll turn it and cut it at 5, so you have this 5 by 7. By 7. And then this should be 7 inches left. So I'm going to turn it and cut it at 5. And this is leftover piece. Okay, so those were pretty simple diagrams. Feel free to hit pause for a minute, get that all cut. The only other cuts we will make is there is a 4 by 12 yellow piece of paper. We're going to cut it right down the middle and make 2 2-inch strips. Put it in at 2 inches. Trim. You got 2-inch strips. And your other dot paper, we're going to cut right down the middle at 6 inches. If you still have this little tab on there, you can trim the tab off. Let's put it in at 12 and trim off that tab. So that can go away. And then we cut it in half at 6 inches. So 2 6 by 12. And I believe that is all the cutting, except for I trimmed these out already, but you want to cut your words out here as well. And if it has a little white left on there, no worries, because we are going to chalk it up, and actually I'll do that right now so that you can see. This one is actually pineapple, so this is one of our older colors, but any of the yellows work, any of the oranges, so you can see once you chalk that up, you can't even see that white strip there. Maybe use a little darker color. I think this is pumpkin pie. Put a little orange around the edges. Fall leaves would look really nice. Pumpkin pie. There's orange slice, I think, if you want something brighter. Candy corn. I think this is actually candy corn. It's a brighter orange. It looks really nice on there too. So it kind of depends on what you prefer. Let me go ahead and do these here too. And it can be a little messy. It's supposed to look chalky. Just adds a little dimension, a little extra color to your page. Okay, so those are ready to go. And then I am going to move my trimmer out of the way because I think we are completely done with using the trimmer. I'm going to move in my 2 background pages. Make sure that these are in the... because we're going to work on both of these kind of at the same time. And again, go ahead and chalk anything and everything you want. Just hit pause, chalk things up, put them on your page. I'm not going to chalk everything going through here, but you take the time to chalk it whatever colors you want. The first step is to take a 6x12 and put it across your background page, and you can adhere this down after you chalk it up. You want it about 1/2 inch from the top, and then the other one goes 1/2 inch from the bottom on the second page. Then you have your 2 by 12 inch yellow strips. After you chalk those up the color you would like, those go flush with your 6x12 dot. I love the pages where you can kind of work on both at the same time. And they're about the same setup, but they look totally different when they're done. Okay, so after that, we are going to start layering some of the photo mats. So you should have 2 5x7 stripe. And the one with the vertical stripes I'm going to put on page 1, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference because it's mostly covered. So go ahead and chalk up your, I'm using a brighter yellow here. I think this is actually, this one's pineapple. I have Chunky Monkey as well. Lemon Drop would work. But you use the colors that work for you. I actually like to add a little bit of a, well, this one is Sunset. I'm going to use Sunset over the top of this. It just gives it a kind of an orangish rust color over top of it. Or you can use blues. If you do use your blue over your yellow, it's going to turn kind of greenish, but that works too because there is some green in here. Go ahead and adhere that to your photo backer, your striped photo mat, and that is going to also get a brad in each corner. Let me find my brads here. So we always pack our little embellishments nice and neat in a little packet like this so you don't have to go searching for them. So once you adhere that together, you will add a brad to the top corners. And I'm going to poke it through one by one here. But you can use a little, after you get these adhered together, you can use a little paper piercer and it pokes all the way through. Just don't happen to have a paper piercer here. Oops. And once you get your brads in, Oops, I'm struggling today. I guess I need my paper piercer. This isn't going through. There we go. Okay, once you get your brads in, you can add your photo first, or you can put your brads in and add your photo just smaller inside there. And we'll do the same for the 5x7 on the other page. And again, it doesn't matter which direction the stripes go because you will never be able to tell the difference there. Most of it is completely covered. So I'm going to lay this out here. And again, put your brads in the top corners. We have some buttons here that I'm going to take out for the little photo mats. Okay, and you have some 3x4 pieces. We are going to put the light blue photo mat right on top of those and adhere those down. Again, we used, I think it was, let's see, Deep Sea, but there's lots of blues that would go with this. And I'm actually going to use Emerald Forest on here, which is more of a green. But once you get it onto this blue paper, I just think it looks really pretty. It's kind of a teal. I also have Humu Humu Kanuku Pukuwawa. This one cracks me up because it's actually a Hawaiian fish, and my mom, Patsy, wanted this for when she did an event in Hawaii. And so we named it that, and she gave everybody a prize that could say the name of the ink from looking at it, but it's a really long one. It's a beautiful color too. Okay, so each of these get put on the back here, placed on your page, and you may not want to glue it down until you have your photos in there. Each one gets a little button at the top. These I wouldn't glue down either until we get the flip-flops on, because we're going to cover up just slightly the bottom of the flip-flop. But we're going to get all the photo mats together here, and I'll use a different color. You typically probably wouldn't use a different color on every single photo mat, but I'm just kind of showing you what colors look like on here. I love the oranges, so I use a lot of orange. Oops. I think I lost one of my, or did I have two here? Where did I put it? I lost one of my striped 3x4 pieces. It was just here. Well, I have a lot going on back here, so just know that that goes on a, take it off of my sample here. There's one with the Deep Sea color on it. Okay, and then we have a light blue background with a dot over top, and that is going to go just above your 5x7. Oh, here it is laying right here. I found it. And the stripe. Okay. And you have another light blue with a dot. And that again is going to go just near the 5x7. Okay, and the flip-flops, well actually let's do the check marks first. We'll get these little pieces out of the way. So you have a little square that goes at the end. And I would set these up so that you have them spaced like you want them before you glue anything down. I have about 1/2 inch in between each one here. But make sure those are where you want them before you glue them down. And then I just put the check mark boxes. Of course, make sure they're straight. Mine are not right now. And you have your little square that goes over top of those. And with these little pieces, it is really handy to have a glue pin. You don't necessarily have to glue the entire back of these little pieces, but you put a few dots of glue from your glue pin and it should hold it just fine. Okay. And again, chalk these up as you go if you would like to. We have a check mark for each one. And I chalked just the edges of these little check marks, or just the ends. I'm going to use orange because I like to add a little orange to almost everything. So I just did the very ends of each of them. This might be a fun place to do with 3 different colors on the check marks. Okay, and then this is where a glue pen really comes in handy because we have kind of an intricate die cut for you. And this little piece is also something we use, so make sure that you don't throw away your negative piece without getting that out. I'm going to save it in there for just right now. But the way that I am going to do the flip-flops, we need just a little adhesive around this part of the flip-flop. So just take your glue pin and make a few dots all the way around there, and then we are going to glue it on just like this. But I like to add a little color before we do that. So I'm going to do a little yellow around the edge, and then I'm going to add a little orange over top of it. Add a little brightness to it. Now it's not going to show the very edge because we are going to cover that with the little skinny flip-flop piece. So make sure you go in a little bit so you can actually see your color. Put a little adhesive around the top here, and then it glues on just like that. So you can kind of lay it down and see how much color is showing. If not enough color is there for you, just pick it back up. I'm going to add a little extra orange and go a little further in. I'll do this one too. A little yellow, makes it bright. And then I'm going to use the orange to go in a ways too. And then you put a little adhesive around there with your glue pen, and it gets glued just like that. This is why I said don't glue these down yet, because we're going to go just over the edge of this. And these can be glued down once those are in place where you want them, then you can add all your little pieces. So these go in the middle of the sunflower and the flip-flop. And I'm going to put a little orange on those too. Add a little color. And you may have to turn them just a little bit. They're not exactly circles, so if it doesn't quite fit, keep turning them or try it in the other one. It's pretty close though. Okay, so that orange adds lots of color. I love it. This little piece here, if you did lose it, no big deal. It just goes in right here, just to kind of fill in that little spot there. Because that's part of the flip-flop. And then you have your little pieces that go in the little sandal part of it. And I'm actually going to chalk some of these up just a little bit before I even punch them out to add a little color. Or you can punch them out if you want to and add color where you want to. But this one is going to go in like, you just kind of have to figure out where things fit. And maybe lay them out there before you glue anything down. I love this technique of adding in these little things after or like around the die cut, because you can easily add different colors and layers to your stuff. And then all you need on this fun summary layout is your fun summary photos. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for being a Club Q member, and we hope you enjoyed both of your kits this month. And we will see you next time.